Alright my dudes, I'm Exelia and welcome to my channel. Come in, get comfy and let's chat about cosplay. Hi, I'm Heather and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be a fun one. I don't think there's ever been a single cosplayer who hasn't made some kind of stupid mistake. So this video is dedicated to that. These are 10 cosplay mistakes all cosplayers make. The first mistake, this is one that I am incredibly guilty of, and I think there's almost like an art to this, is winging it. So sometimes you need to get something done and it's just a matter of you only have a few hours, what are you going to do? You don't have time to make a pattern, let's just see if this works. And sometimes winging it is a good thing because there have been so many events, even competitions that I've gone to, where I've needed one last thing and I've not had any clue how to put it together. So I've winged it and somehow it's came together and it's worked and it's all been fine. And yeah, like sometimes winging it will be like the golden option and a miracle will happen and you'll end up with something that's absolutely perfect. But for most people, you'll end up with something where it's kind of subpar, it does the job, it looks like what it's meant to look like, but it's not that great. And sometimes that's the reason why you'll never wear a costume again. So while I'm not totally against winging it, it's definitely a mistake to not plan things well enough that you know you don't have to wing it. The second mistake, again something I am so guilty of, is measure. So for a lot of cosplayers who make their own costumes, you kind of become used to what size your body is. I know that sounds really weird, I'm sure many of you will understand that. But sometimes you get overconfident with what size your body is. So if you're not measuring what it is that you're cutting out, if you're not patterning things and making sure that they actually fit first, all you're going to be doing is wasting fabric, and wasting fabric is expensive. But even worse than that, what about when you go to the fabric store and you're like, 2 meters will be fine? How do you know that? How do you know 2 meters will be fine? How do you know you're not going to be running to the fabric store hoping they've still got some left because you've left it 6 months to actually work on the costume and you're 20 centimeters short? Not measuring something can cause so many problems, and I know it's a lot more prep and it's a lot more effort, but measuring things and making sure that you actually know how much you're using and that it's going to fit makes all the difference. This also applies if you order costumes online. So way back in the day, one of my friends ordered a costume and he gave the wrong measurement for the legs. And this guy is like over 6 foot tall. The trousers barely went past his knees. So if you're ordering online, make sure that it's actually going to fit you as well. And especially if you're doing custom measurements, make sure you measure twice. The third mistake is poor fabric choices. And I say this very boldly, that I think that, you know, most cosplayers have at least like one skeleton in the closet, one costume that they just refuse to acknowledge, they refuse to upload anyway, they refuse to talk about because they made it out of satin. I'm talking like party satin, I'm talking like $150 a meter, really cheap, shiny, nasty satin. And we've all made mistakes like this. We've all done things like this where you've looked at something and you're like, it's perfect, it's blue, and then you take it outside and you look at it in light and you're like, what was I thinking? And this applies to a lot of different things as well. So like trims, sometimes you'll get like a stretch velvet for a trim. Are you trying to make things harder for yourself? It's especially hard when you're starting out in cosplay to know what materials are appropriate and what you should go for. Don't just act on impulse if you can help it. I know it's hard, but don't act on impulse. Try and think about what would the character actually wear, what's an appropriate fabric. Don't just buy whatever's the right colour, don't just buy whatever's cheap. Try and find something that's appropriate, because if you make it out of something that is a poor fabric choice, you're just going to want to bin it or remake it or never ever talk about it again. Mistake number 4. It's coming from where? So you know that kind of mental state you get in where it's like the week before the convention and you realise, I don't have shoes for this, I don't have a wig for this, how am I going to get this put together? And you think, oh, I'll just order something now. Now we're kind of spoiled with things like Amazon Prime and things like eBay, there's things like 3-day shipping and, you know, there's convenient things. But ever so often, you order something and you're like, that's fine. And then you look at the estimated date and it's 2 months into the future and it's coming from China and you had no idea. And the convention is in 3 days and you needed that piece. And what are you gonna do? By the time they arrive, it's way too late and you can't cancel the order because a lot of the time these places don't let you cancel the order. So it's worth just double checking descriptions, making sure that things are available and not looking a month later and being like, well, there's that wig I needed. Mistake number 5. It's how big? So this is a really common issue, especially if you travel like across the country for events or if you enter competitions, because so often you will make something and you'll be so fixated on getting it right and getting it finished that you won't think about, how do I get it to the event? And this has happened to me so many times, and I know friends this has happened to, and I know people where they've travelled literally across the world and they're like, I don't know how I'm gonna get this costume there. And it's awful. When I made my broom for Shally, I was like, I'll just be able to put it in some bubble wrap and like store it on an overhead rack on a train. It's not gonna be a problem. When I actually took it on a train, it broke, which was not great. If I had put a fastening partway down the pipe, I could have easily taken it apart, put it inside the suitcase. At the time I made it, this did not cross my mind. I just thought, I'll just put it in a bag, it's fine. You've got to consider how you're actually going to get things places, and it does make things so much easier. Sometimes it will take a lot more planning and prep. This of course also applies to actual costumes. It applies to things like comically large shoes, it applies to things like wigs, it applies to things like wings. There are all sorts of different parts of costumes where it's like, oh, I've made it. How do I get it there? Oh my god. Mistake number 6. Finishing your costume at the convention. Okay, hands up who has taken a sewing machine to an event to finish their costume. I can't count the amount of events where myself or a friend or my sister or like anyone has taken a sewing machine to an event in the thought of, oh, I'll just finish it when I get there. If it's not finished enough by the time you're leaving, take something else. I know it might be for a group. I know it might be for a photo shoot. I know it might be one of your dream costumes, but oh my god, do not take the sewing machine with you. Do not put it in that suitcase. Do not put it in the back of the car. Do not take it by the handle. Do not take the sewing machine to the convention. It will ruin your weekend. For all it's disheartening and you don't want to let friends down, or you don't want to miss out on a group, or you don't want to miss out on a photo shoot, or like an opportunity, you know, that sort of thing, it's not worth it. I will say though, if it's things like hand sewing, like little bits that you can do while you're actually traveling, you know, providing you're not driving, but if you've got little things that you can do, there's no harm in doing that. But if it's literally half of my costume isn't finished and I need to take a sewing machine to finish it, just stop. Mistake number 7. Where's the rest? So you know those evenings where it's 10 p.m, possibly 12, possibly 2 a.m, and you've got to leave early the next day and you still haven't quite finished anything, but you're like, right, it's time to just throw it in the suitcase. I know it's a time of mania, I know it's a time of stress, but try and make sure that everything's there, because there is no worse feeling than getting the costume finished, being so excited for it, and then leaving the wig on the bed. It's one of those things that can be so easily avoided. If you have all the pieces of your costume, what I normally do, especially in the run-up to an event, is if I finish a piece of my costume, I physically put it in the suitcase. I make sure it's there. I make sure it's already packed. On the other hand, where's the rest? Did you make everything? Did you get everything? Did you just forget that your character has shoes? Sometimes there are just details that you miss or that you overlook or that you don't quite notice. Doing a little bit more research, making sure you look at what you've got and you make a list, you know, making lists. And that way you won't forget anything or forget anything. Mistake number 8. How do I fix this? This is one of those things that you can't be too prepared for. So if you're taking a costume, whether you've made it yourself or whether it's something you've bought or if it's something someone else has made for you, you know, if something goes wrong, how are you gonna fix it? Some events do have things like cosplay hospitals, or they've got cosplay repairmen, and it's really cool that they have that, but you shouldn't rely on that. Every single event that I go to, without fail, I take my cosplay repair kit. And I highly recommend that you make one if you don't already have one. Having a small tube of glue, a bobbin of thread, and a needle is gonna save, if not your costume, someone else's costume. Mistake number 9. You do need real clothes too. When I first started going to conventions, this is something I'm quite ashamed of. I would take a costume for each day. So say if it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd have a costume for each day, a pair of clothes for the Monday, and the clothes I travelled down with on the Thursday. And then some pyjamas and underwear and stuff. But normal clothes, We don't know her. And every time I did this, I would have to buy new t-shirts in the dealer's room because I would just rewear the same jeans, no bother. But I'd have to buy new clothes across the weekend because no one stays in a costume for the whole day. I would get to about 6 p.m. and be like, my feet hurt, I need to go and get changed. Oh, what into? Now, after making so many mistakes at so many events, I make sure I've got enough clothes for each day, sometimes a change of clothes for the evening, you know, if you're going out for a meal or whatever, and I take a spare on top of that. It's so stressful when you don't have anything to wear, but also I understand because I was like this for years, because the excitement and the giddiness of, oh my god, I'm going to the convention, I'm going to wear this and wear this and wear this. I don't need anything else, it's fine. It does take over. You will feel stupid, but try and prep for it in advance. Make sure you've got enough stuff to do. It's gonna be fine. And finally, number 10. It doesn't have to be serious. I've put this at number 10, but the number one thing that ruins any convention cosplay experience is people taking things so seriously and not just having fun with it. At the end of the day, we're all just idiots in costume. Whether you've made that costume over 600 hours or you've bought it from China, it doesn't matter. If you're gonna stress about everything, if you're gonna be wound up about everything, if you're gonna be so serious about everything, you're not gonna enjoy the event, you're not gonna meet new friends, you're not gonna have a good time. These conventions and events, they are holidays. They're little holidays for great big nerds, and you need to just go and enjoy. Especially in today's day and age, you don't just cosplay at events, you don't just cosplay at conventions. There is a huge scope of stuff online. It applies there as well. Like, if someone is doing the same costume that you're doing, you've got something in common. It's a great way to talk to new people and meet new people. There are so many things that people can take as little criticisms and little jabs back and forth. If someone's looking to enter the same competition as you, it's not an attack. If someone's looking to do the same character, it's not an attack. You don't have to make things difficult for yourself or for anybody else. You can just enjoy what you're doing. I know sometimes it feels like finishing something on time or wearing something at an event is the most important thing in the world. It's not. There have been so many events where I've not worn something with friends, or friends have not worn something with me, and we've all just felt a little bit like difficult, and there's been little bits of tension here and there. Just talk to each other. Even if you're not all wearing the same thing and you might be like, oh, I feel so left out. You don't have to be left out. You can wear whatever you want and still tag along with your friends. Wearing a costume together does not mean you're not still friends outside of that costume. Other people have to feel this, right? Because I feel like I've been part of so many groups where this has been an issue in them. And it's all just taking things so seriously. You don't have to. Just chill out, enjoy your time at events, enjoy your time with friends, enjoy your time online. Share what you want, just have a good time. And there we have it. I can absolutely guarantee that so many of you have done every single one of these. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. That really helps. And if you've got any thoughts, leave them in the comments below. If you like what you see and you'd like to join me for some more cosplay chatter in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified anytime I upload a new video. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you very, very soon.